Subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified about the highlights of India's smartest podcast, The Ranveer Show. This is TRS Clips. Your debut Hindi film was Dhoni? No? I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Okay.
But most people thought it was Dhoni because that was a film that people, like before that, the films that I did, nobody knew me.
Right. No.
So Fugly was my debut film. That's absolutely fine. A lot of people think my debut film is Dhoni.
The reason I saw you there first and I felt like you lit up the screen.
How sweet.
Yeah. I'm asking you this out of curiosity. Okay. And this is something we've discussed a lot as well because one of the most requested podcasts for us was Sushant. Like they were like, we would love for you to have him on the show. Unfortunately, whatever happened. But I'd love to know from your eyes and your heart, what was he like as a person? What was that mind like? Because we couldn't do the podcast. I couldn't dive in. I'm sure as a psychologist, like this is maybe one amateur psychologist talking to a professional.
I'm not a professional. I've only studied it 2 years, but I'm not professional at all. I've only read. But I can tell you my experience as a co-actor and as a, friend. Because when we were working together, I think we had a wonderful equation. I think he's a very curious mind. We started the shoot in Aurangabad. And we were shooting a song that we were doing in the film and a few scenes. And I remember we were shooting during the day. We must have packed up around 8 o'clock. And we had a 4 a.m. flight. So naturally we kind of thought, let's just pull an all-nighter. What's the point of sleeping? And when you've wrapped up a good schedule, everyone's always like happy and stuff. So that's the time I actually spent time with Sushant and we got chatting. And it's so interesting because he had shared his journey and how Dhoni happened for him and generally his life story with me, from being a backup dancer behind Preeti Zinta and how he came and how he was an engineer. And he had all these massive books that he was reading. And he was very curious about life, about people. He was very driven. And I remember by the end of it, I told him, I said, someday someone will make a biopic on you only. Because his story and his journey was very, very interesting. Even as an actor, I think he was so passionate because I remember he had a whole booklet of questions that he had asked Dhoni with answers. In fact, so much of the research that he did about his life, about Dhoni's life, about, his personal life. Sushant had shared that with me to help me in my research. He was a bit of an insomniac because when I remember I was so groggy by the end of it, I need to go to sleep. And he's like, I sleep. I remember he told me this. He said, apparently the human body only needs 2 hours of sleep. Even when you sleep 8 hours or 7 hours or whatever each person needs, from that, only 2 hours is what the actual time your brain is actually sleeping. The rest of the time you may be unconscious and asleep, but your mind is still active. So he said, I just need 2 hours of sleep. Yeah. And it was strange. I was like, this is so strange. How does he do this? But he was pretty energized the next day. He wasn't tired on set, but he was just, that was how he was just built and made. I don't know. It was very fascinating.
What was his energy like as an actor when you were doing scenes with him?
So natural. So natural. I mean, it shows. Everyone who saw the film, so natural and so effortless. Especially in Dhoni. I think that was really his standout performance. Even his first film, Kai Poche, I really, really liked him as an actor.
When you say driven, like you said, he was driven. And that's what I mainly picked up from everything you said, amongst other things.